Hi, this is Heather K. Margolis with Channel Maven, and welcome to this episode of CMCtv. Today I'm joined by James Rogers, who has led marketing organizations for companies like True Technologies, Blazant Software, and companies we've all heard of like Hoover's, OneSource, and Digital Globe. James, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Heather. Glad to be here.
So James, we've been talking a little bit about when companies have a product launch and they're so excited about their new features and whether it's software or hardware, but there's something that they tend to forget. What is that?
Yeah, one of the things I've seen a lot of companies, they don't look at their go-to-market strategy.
Right. So the product's awesome, they hope, and they just sort of lob it over the fence and hope for the best.
Well, you hope that they would have had the go-to-market strategy before they built the new capabilities in the product.
Right.
To understand what industries, what verticals, what segments that this product is going to be geared to. But a lot of times, exactly what you said, if they have done that, a lot of times they'll create the product and they'll release it, but then they haven't aligned the cross-functional organization to fully bring it out to market. And obviously marketing plays a big role in that.
Absolutely. And I actually worked at a company where that would happen, and they would come to us and say, so you have to tell our partners in 48 hours all of these great new features and functionalities of the launch, and we had no idea that this was needing to be communicated.
Yeah, it's common. They'll come to marketing as they're releasing it,
right.
Or if you're lucky, you might get a couple weeks. But the reality is that marketing probably should be involved in some aspect from the very beginning, and then in many cases, marketing really starts to ramp up, typically 3-4 months before the release.
Right.
Because there's so much to do. It's update the digital properties.
Right.
It's work with the team to create an ABM program.
Absolutely.
It's create all the supporting collateral and sales tools and pitch decks. And maybe if they're lucky, maybe they can get some kind of influencer marketing pieces or some white papers
and these things take time. This isn't something you can do in 2 weeks.
I wish we could just
we'd be out of a job if
I
that
wish
were
we
the
could
case.
twitch our nose and just have it magically appear, but that doesn't happen.
Absolutely.
It takes time, and also you're shortchanging it by not spending time with the product managers and really understanding what is the significance of these capabilities and why is this going to be significant for their customers and for the marketplace.
Right.
And that's the role, right, is then to capture that and then drive that out to the marketplace to support a successful launch.
Absolutely. And you mentioned vertical. If the software caters to a vertical, then so does the messaging. And if it caters to multiple verticals, then it really needs to be, you need two separate messages and pieces of content around that.
That's right. So depending on if it's horizontal and covers multiple industries, then you'll need content for all the different industries that you're going to target. If it's within a single industry and addresses different verticals, then you're going to need different content tailored to those specific verticals. So it takes a lot of readiness. It takes, a lot of times they're always underclubbing the importance of, it's not just training the sales team and get ready for the distribution and building the demand and the awareness and thought leadership, but it's also giving all that supporting ecosystem the confidence that they're going to need in order to drive that out to the marketplace.
Right. And supporting the sales team also means supporting the partners.
Exactly. So depending on what their distribution is, most organizations will have some kind of partner program. And in many cases, the partners will actually be the resellers in different countries or in different locations.
Right.
Sometimes it's a mix. And those nuances, again, are part of the launch. So
Absolutely.
Tailoring the content, tailoring the training, tailoring the readiness for the launch is important based on what their distribution is. If the partners are exclusive resellers, then that's one way. If they're a support, if they're systems integrators or consulting services, then that's different content in another way. There's lots of things, and oftentimes, unfortunately, a lot of times organizations Well, first and foremost, they think about getting the product out.
Right.
Then secondly, they think about training their own and readiness of their own sales team. And unfortunately, in many cases, they fail to think about the significance that the partner program plays in terms of taking these products out to market.
Right, which we know all too well. And that the partners don't want to just take the direct piece and slap their logo on it. They want something that's more catered to their business.
Yeah, not only that, but you can't just assume also that the partners are going to have the subject matter expertise for those products, or that the partners are going to even want to resell those products. In some cases, you might come out with a new product that addresses a new industry or a new vertical, and in fact, those partners are either going to have to self-select themselves, or you might have to think of attracting new partners to sell those solutions.
Well, and making sure that not only are the resources that you're giving partners to drive demand, but also the way you're communicating to all of your different partners about this.
That's right. And it's not just even the readiness of those partners and how you communicate with them and how you work with them in order to tailor specifically for how they're going to go to market. But it's also, the other thing that's really important is when you start getting into, a lot of times companies use partners for a global approach.
Right.
And so then you get into other languages.
Absolutely.
And then you get into, there's different social media, for example, in Asia than what is common here in the United States. And so then you have to think about your PR plan, your media plan, your
a global level,
social outreach, your localization and translation on a global level, and then tailor that specifically, usually working in conjunction with the partners, because they're going to know best on the way for they themselves to take it to market to their target prospects or to upsell their existing customers.
Right. So lots of things to talk about and think about. If someone wants to reach out to you to continue the conversation, what's the best way to reach you?
You can find me on LinkedIn, James Carson Rogers on LinkedIn.
Great. Thank you so much for joining. You'll have to come back. We'll continue the conversation. And thanks all of you for tuning in. Again, this is Heather K. Margolis with Channel Maven, and be sure to use the hashtag CMCtv.